We are live. Hello there. Welcome to Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Wrapping up a week that went by in a heartbeat, just so incredibly fast. And as usually at the end of the. Oh, wait. Stop! Why is this thing talking to me? Stop. My YouTube, for whatever reason, was replying to me. Okay, let me just get the audio right. I was trying to stream this from my old iPhone. I have an iPhone 6 that was gifted to me a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And unfortunately, I got the message that I had to upgrade to iOS 13. And I think that thing, this one, this is my trusty old iPhone 6. Let me see what it's running. Definitely not iOS 13. It is running, let me see, about general. There we go. So software version 12. Yeah, you can't see that. 12.5.6. That is, yeah, that's very old. So unfortunately, I'm trying to figure out ways in which I can make these things easier, because right now everything I do is going through this one laptop that you're currently looking at. Well, you're not looking at it. The laptop is looking at me, and you're looking at me through my laptop. But this is my only computer right now that I can work on. The PC is old. I think it's 5-6 years old, and it's bulky. And the biggest problem is right now it consumes a ton of energy. It is very, very energy hungry. And of course, with the current electricity prices, I turn it on as little as possible. This MacBook is quite modest in its energy consumption, but it's tied up to I can show you actually. There you go. This is the computer that I normally work on. So this is my editing. Well, it's the monitor actually. You may recognize that from some of my live streams. Let me get rid of this. And so I usually, this is where I edit my videos, my documentaries, the short videos, etc. But in order to work on this monitor, it has an HDMI cable that goes to a hub, like a small. Can you see that here? There you go. Where is it? Yeah, you see that little gray box? That's hub number 1. And then on the left of that is a small black square. That is hub number 2. And then also underneath the gray square, I don't know if you see that, or a rectangle, there's also a hard drive. And that's an external hard drive because I bought the cheapest MacBook Air, figuring, hey, I can always hook it up to an SSD, but then the SSD also has to be plugged into one of the only 2 USB-C ports on this small laptop. So anyway, it's just so cumbersome to constantly have to move this laptop to either the studio over there for mass. If I want to do any live stream that's not in this small room, for instance, when I do commentary or I record my flagship show on Wednesdays, I have to unhook all these cables. I lose the hard drive, and then I have to carry it to the other room, hook it up to all the cameras over there, and connect the microphones and everything, and start streaming from there. But oftentimes that same day I also am editing, and so I might maybe in the middle of an editing project, and then I have to unhook everything, bring the laptop to the other room. It's so cumbersome. So right now, temporarily, I'm still using the old MacBook Air 11-inch which is I think 7 or 8 years old, for the mass. But the problem is it is having such a hard time with all the signal processing. So it's constantly making a sound as if it's going to take off, and it probably will reach the moon earlier than Artemis. That's how much the fan is is trying to cool that little computer. So it's become obvious to me that I need to find easier ways to stream, especially the streaming. It's always the streaming that is the hardest to do if you're using regular PC. So of course the easiest way for me to stream would be to just use a cell phone. But then none of my cell phones are able to stream right now. So this one is like end of life. I've got this one. This one is actually from 2019, so it's not that old, but it's a very peculiar brand. It's an Asus, and so it's got this camera. You see this camera here? It flips up. So if I want to stream live, I can just turn it around. The thing is, this is such a peculiar system that almost no modern software will work with it. So if I want to stream on YouTube, it doesn't recognize the lens, or it only recognizes one of them, and it constantly flips around. StreamYard, I'm using StreamYard right now for this. Doesn't recognize this phone, can't work with it, etc., etc. Even when I was trying to make YouTube shorts with this one, it couldn't upload them for some reason. Ugh. And I bought this one because it has a very good lens. Actually, the lens on this and the sensor, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the same lens as Apple is using right now in their iPhone 14. But despite the fact that this is a great lens, if it's not supported by software, what do you do? It's not useful. So anyway, yeah. Hey, Inge. Joining us all the way from Amersfoort.
Hello, Father. I wasn't sure
Hello.
if you were already started, so I muted myself.
Yeah. No, we're live. I was complaining about all these phones that I have, none of which work for streaming. I was on a bit of a tech rant. And so I'm trying to simplify the whole streaming process, and I think the best way for me to to be able to make this workable is to get the maybe an iPhone, a newer iPhone or something like that, something that is more standard, so that software works with it. And I got this phone because it was like half the price of an iPhone, and I figured, hey, it's got even a better lens than the iPhone. Woo! That's a
Yeah.
good deal. And then like 2 years later, they stopped updating this, which is a huge problem of Android. So I got no more software updates. And then none of the apps that I work with are working with this kind of non-generic hardware. Anyway, hello, and how's life?
It's warm and muggy in Amersfoort. Well,
Oh,
or at least
really?
I think it's warm.
Yeah.
It's raining, so there's it's like what is it? 70 Fahrenheit, so like 23
Uh-huh.
centigrade with 100% humidity. So it
Oh,
makes
nice.
your skin curl and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're coming from a very warm month, and now it's starting. The weather is starting to turn. It starts to rain, but of course the heat is still in the buildings.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it's gone here. But I've slept with all the windows open for 3 days now, so it's finally cooling down. But
Yeah, I
man,
can do that. So
I know. I
yeah.
shouldn't either because there's a lot of noise here. I'm next to a
It's
busy
also
road.
I'm on the first floor, at least second floor for Europeans, first floor for Americans,
Uh
I
huh.
think. Yeah, second floor for Americans, first floor for Europeans. That always confuses me, the way people count. But so it's very easy in the night to put a ladder on and burgle my house.
Ah, yeah.
So I
You can just.
cannot keep
But
things open at night.
you have a cat. You have nothing to
Yeah,
fear. You have a very fearsome, aggressive cat who will bark at anyone who enters your room.
yeah. By the slightest noise, he crawls under my bed. So yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
Hey, I want to say hi to the people in in the chat. We've got Michiel. Claudia is there. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Palomides. Maria is there too. From close by, right? Maria is from, isn't she from nearby? Or is that another Maria? I don't remember. We've got
That's not a
Cybot.
Maria.
Okay, it's a different Maria.
I know everybody by name, so I always have to
Zdenek.
confirm.
Zdenek from Prague, from beautiful
Oh,
Prague.
Prague is one of the most beautiful European cities.
It is.
Yeah.
I say that, but I've never been there. But that's what
I've been there
everybody
once
says.
I've been there once, and when I was still a student, and people had not discovered Prague yet.
Oh, okay.
So everything was very cheap and stuff. Yeah.
I like Prague because Star Wars was filmed there. You know the planet, the Canto something, the gambling planet in The Last Jedi. That was filmed in one of the streets of Prague. So that's
You don't
for
recognize
that
it back,
reason
but
alone.
yeah.
Well, actually, if you know where they filmed it, apparently you can recognize it. But I think it's cool. I wish they would film Star Wars here in the Netherlands somewhere, so I could
It
go on a
looks too
pilgrimage.
Dutch.
I don't care.
People could immediately tell they were in Holland.
Well,
Yeah.
they can visit a boring grass and cow planet. Why not? We can just, turn our cows into aliens. There are virtually aliens anyway.
Yeah.
Peter is telling me you'd be jealous of my setup. Yes. Don't tell me. Hey, we're trying to be as good of a steward that we can be with our resources because we're still not making enough money to pay the bills. So we're doing what we can. I thought that since I had such a booming TikTok business that would bring in riches beyond imagination, but no, it doesn't. You're basically working for free if you're on TikTok because there's no monetization.
Yeah.
So anyway, Peter is from Belgium. Cool.
Belgium is also one of my favorite countries to visit. It's kind of
it depends
relaxed
which
atmosphere.
part.
People I feel always feel welcome here. I always feel if you have, for example, visit Holland. So the Netherlands as a country is, and then Holland is one province. The people are more aloof at one point. Yeah, I don't know.
What is
More,
aloof?
a little more from distance.
Okay. They're more reserved.
Yeah.
It's true. Although in
And the further
Belgium,
south you
it
go, the
depends.
friendlier people get, so the more open and warm they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belgium can be different. I mean, they're very different mentalities depending on where you go. Hey, Tony. Good morning. Where are you, Tony? I suppose it's on the western side of the planet for us.
Yeah. If he says good morning.
Peter is actually Dutch. What are you doing in Belgium then?
Escaping the Netherlands. That's the obvious question.
You think? Oh, Tony's in California. Oh, wow.
Oh.
I pity you. It's hot in California. I think it's isn't it the hottest month of the year right now? With all the water restrictions, etc. I mean, when I was there, it was already like as if I was walking around in an oven. And now apparently it's worse. Oakley, California. I need to Google that, where that is. Oakley.
Yeah, I'm glad it rains in the Netherlands because it has been super dry. When I visited Cologne last weekend, we had to cross the Rhine River. And I was shocked how low the water was. So it was 1 meter lower, also in Cologne, than it normally is.
Cool. I mean, not cool. I was looking at something else. Sorry. I was looking at Oakley. Oakley is to the right. Look at this beautiful screen share technology. Oakley is on the eastern side of San Francisco, and close to a park. Which park is that? The Emerson Ranch Park. Cool. But of course, our natural parks and reserves are also suffering from the drought. Where
Mike,
are all these people you're talking to, Mike? Some of them
Facebook.
are on Facebook, and you are on YouTube. So, yeah, we have all the chat messages on our screen because we're using StreamYard,
Hmm.
but not every. That's why we're kind of repeating
Yeah.
what's going on. But yeah, actually, Facebook works really well for the live streams because a lot of our followers are on Facebook. Um, and but YouTube is a backup because there are always people that don't like to go to Facebook or are unable to go to Facebook.
I, uh, I'm not no longer on Facebook, so I
Mm-hmm.
have to rely on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
but I hear a lot of people of my generation leaving Facebook because they don't like all the new data stuff they're doing, privacy stuff. So yeah,
That's not new. They've been stealing your data for
yeah, but
decades now.
but they are more in your face about it right now, and so people waking up apparently. So yeah,
Yeah, depends. It's all shifting. Now the younger generation is moving to TikTok, and that's even worse
yeah,
for privacy. So yeah, I don't know if there ever will be a perfect solution, but at least it's always the problem of traction. You know, you can there are great platforms out there, but nobody's there. It's like the Mastodon thing that you
yeah, and
recommended
that's what I
me.
am.
I've tried to get into that thing and I just give up. I can't find anyone. I don't know. I can't understand how it works. It's too complicated and it's like there's no one there. At least not in my area, so I'm not using that. I stick with Facebook because that's where everybody is. So that's where I have
Yeah,
to be. Anyway.
yeah. And at one point, I was the only one left on Facebook. So then I was like, okay, I'm now talking to the wall. Let's leave as well. So yeah, depends on your
Yeah, it's
circle
true.
of friends, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got a lot of followers, so I always see. Well, I'm very restrictive. I mean, a lot of people can follow me and interact with me, and but I'm very picky as to who I
yeah,
follow,
the,
and I use it mostly for either for close friends and family, not that much family, but close friends, and and on my regular account, I follow a lot of news sources. So that's where I get my, my information about TV shows and technology and stuff and reviews.
yeah,
So it's very much not what Facebook is supposed to be, but and TikTok the same thing. I've got friends. There's a fellow priest of mine who uses Tik or Twitter every day to have these discussions, and he's great at it. And there's like a very vibrant atmosphere around his account. Um, I think I'm probably the second priest in the Netherlands with a big TikTok Twitter. I keep saying TikTok, Twitter audience. But there's almost nothing happening because I don't really use it to interact. I just don't have time
hmm,
to talk all day long with people. I do that on other platforms. So for me, Twitter is very limited. I'm just using it to point people to other content, and of course that doesn't get much traction. Um, but it's always so Twitter too. I'm using it a lot to just follow news and follow trends and
hmm,
follow certain. When something is happening, I create a hashtag list and then I can see what's going on. Like the Queen yesterday, when she died, I just type in TweetDeck like the what is it, Queen Elizabeth, and then
yeah,
the news starts flowing in.
yeah. Yeah, I was watching something on BBC, something else, and then yeah, this program is interrupted for a very important news update, and I was like, oh no, yeah, and then I was, oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Condolences to our English followers.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a big deal. I was surprised at how quickly they switched into that very serious mode. I'm listening to a lot of English podcasts, or not, well, news podcasts,
mm-hmm.
and all the official ones, they remove all the music, they remove all the jingles. It's this very serious tone, and so apparently there are these
Protocols, yeah,
protocols that will last for 10 days starting now, and it's followed to the letter. It's very impressive.
yeah,
I was following the BBC television channel that I have on I guess it's the same channel, like BBC One or
BBC
something like that.
One, yeah,
Yeah, and there was this one guy, and he's been doing this for 10 hours in
yeah,
just and I read an article this morning in which it was explained that he had practiced this very moment in television history for years in front of the mirror. So he was just
Yeah.
rehearsing in front of the mirror how he would look, the questions he would ask, and he did a terrific job. But I
Yeah.
was like, wow, there's
Well,
nothing improvised here.
yeah, but I was watching, and it was so the guy was well, they were talking about an empty gate at Balmoral, and at one point there was they switched to Buckingham Palace, and then you saw the flag being lowered to half mast, and then
Hmm.
they had to cut back to the studio, and I was like,
Yeah.
is it a is it half mast? Is it curled around the mast because of the wind and the rain? You know, and then you saw that he had difficulty
Hmm.
uh, staying straight. You know, he was also choking up. You could tell he was fighting his tears while
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
having
yeah.
to announce that
Yeah.
the queen has died. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Yeah.
even if you're so professional, and even if you have rehearsed it, there's nothing that can you prepare you for this moment, because it's very emotional. But it's if you're living in a monarchy, yeah, it's not that it's a very important figure in your daily life, but she's always there in the background. She's on the postage stamps, on the coins, on it's like furniture, like part of the daily fabric of life. And suddenly there's this gaping hole in your day to day existence, and then yeah, that you have to mourn loss.
No, and it helps that
Yeah,
she was very likable. I
yeah,
mean, if our former queen would die, the Beatrix,
yeah.
I don't think I would
I
be
wouldn't
very
care
emotional
much
about
about
that.
that. Yeah,
She's a very distant person,
yeah,
and has always been. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's of course, obviously, I'm not from Great Britain, and I've not been very much following what was going on with the royal family there. But I can imagine that that it's more akin to, in my case, if the Pope dies,
yeah,
that is also super emotional. And yeah, I remember that when John Paul II died, even though John Paul II, it was emotional, but more like because he was an historical figure. But
yeah,
um, I think with Pope Francis, that would I think really hit me hard, because I
yeah,
just think he's a very likable person, a very
yeah.
warm personality, and so yeah,
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 I also recently started watching The Crown, so then it, it's more closer at home in some sort of way, because
yeah. It gets a
I've
little bit
been
more
binging
depth.
that,
Hmm.
and then I was like, oh wow. So I didn't know about how she became king and queen, and that she just basically wasn't prepared for it because she was only 25, and then thinking. When I was 25, thinking back how I was at that age, and I was like, oh wow, the burden of the whole world is landing on your head, literally,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you have to do this, and yeah, so this is that makes me admire her a lot because of her, not because she's the queen, but because of who she is as a person. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Hello there, Martinez Jerkus. Welcome.
yeah,
Hugh Edgewords? My goodness, how do you spell that? Edgewords? It's the most BBC's most senior newsreader. Yeah, he definitely had that right, face, grace,
yeah,
tone, gravitas.
yeah. And what Michiel says, that I for in the beginning of the crown, so you see what happens to her uncle. So he abdicated because of his engagement to this American actress, and
Hmm.
no, and so her father never I say that, it's not that he wasn't up to the job, but he was also not prepared, and he smoked himself to death quite literally because of the stress
Ah, okay.
that came with the job. So yeah, I can see that abdication is then yeah, tense subject, so that's not what you do easily. And in the Netherlands, of course, is that kind of expected from the king and the queen. Yeah,
Hey, Teresa, how are you doing? Because you had some health problems, I think you shared with us a while ago. I hope you're doing a bit better. I hope that's the case for everyone. Um, I'm still hearing about people getting COVID. I'm sorry about the sudden change of topics, but I just was triggered by
yeah,
seeing people in the chat room. But Uh, anyway, so yeah, I'm getting a bit itchy about the news that COVID may be returning in the fall, and the weather is
Yeah.
now turning. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, I just got tickets for another Comic Con, the Dutch Comic Con,
Yeah.
and then it said, "Do you want to buy insurance for in case the event is canceled because of COVID?" I was like, "No." And then, like an hour later, I hear about this new vaccination round that they are preparing for
With a
the
new
coming
vaccine.
weeks.
Yeah.
No, oh, goodness.
So I skipped my booster. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
little bit complicated. I had COVID before the vaccinations were developed. So there was nothing to to vaccinate me to avoid getting COVID. So I got COVID in 2020, and at first that counted as one shot. So I only needed one shot because I already was sick. And then I came for the booster. I thought. I was like, oh no, no, no! You cannot get a booster because you only had a single vaccination. I was like, no, I've been sick. That counts. But no, no, no. That the policy had changed and that didn't count anymore. So this was my
Hmm.
second shot.
Hmm.
And then I
Hmm.
would have waited for 3 months for my booster. I never got a
Hmm.
booster because it was in the
Hmm.
height of summer, and
Hmm.
so
Hmm. Hmm. Oh well,
yeah,
you'll get the next one.
yeah,
Teresa's doing the same. Well, hope you're gonna. I hope they're going to find out what is wrong, and you'll feel better soon. Oh, Michiel, your dad got COVID yesterday. Golly, I've noticed
yeah.
in the supermarket. I was doing my groceries. I still am shocked when people like cough or sneeze without even covering their mouth, and especially
Over the
the
groceries, yeah,
well, it's just people doing their shopping and also the personnel, like these
yeah,
kids that are working there in the evening hours, and they're like, and I was like, dude, have you forgotten how dangerous that is? I'm thinking of that. If people are I just, it's so ingrained in my behavior. I can automatically keep my distance
yeah,
whenever I'm shopping. I always sneeze still in my elbow
yeah,
if I have to sneeze, and other people just. It's as if they have totally erased what happened for 2 years from their
yeah,
mind. I
yeah.
don't get it.
I've been brought up with the notion cover your mouth when sneezing. My mom is a nurse, so I would we really get told off if I did not do that as a kid. So I was like, and also not in your not in your hands because you need to shake hands. So I had to always had to turn my head and cough in my elbow or in my
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, when they were announcing that you had to do that, it was like other people don't.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not looking forward to getting COVID again. So
Oh,
apparently, even if you've had COVID for the current variant, it doesn't matter. And actually, it can still be very, very,
yeah,
let's say, dangerous. Especially if you get this variant, having had the previous one. You get like, it's not like, oh, but my body is now more resistant. No, you just get another kick in the
you know
in the
where. Yeah,
bleep.
yeah.
And yeah, so long COVID cases are apparently more frequent with people who are currently infected after having been infected in
Yeah,
the beginning of the COVID epidemic. So yeah, it's going to be a fun winter.
yeah, yeah. I now had two shots and two.
Mm.
I had COVID 2 times. So
Yeah.
also early this year in
Mm.
February. And I was kind of shocked because I was already vaccinated for the second time in December, and within 3 months, so I should have been good. I got infected again, and I was really sick, and also I
Hmm.
thought I would have a severe case of flu, but it turned out that I tested positive, so it was COVID again.
Yeah.
And how tired I was, and also how long it took for me to recover.
Hmm.
Still, after having been through it once and having two shots, so I'm not taking any chances for getting it again because my body doesn't handle it well, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint if there are lingering consequences. I still have these moments, and it's thankfully not all the time, but at least once a week, I will have this. I will just completely crash. I will
Mm-hmm.
just have. How did we call it the other day? Like
Narcolepsy.
narcolepsy, narcoleptic instances where it's no matter how and I know it can't be my body overall because I'm healthy. I'm running. I
Yeah.
eat well. I sleep reasonably well. So, but it's something else. It's something in the brain that is like, oh, you're tired. You are now going to, and it's literally like on the ground, wherever I can lay down, I just lay down. That's how tired I am. And then
Yeah.
it takes hours to subside. Sometimes I'm sleeping the entire afternoon and then
Yeah.
like towards 6 or 7 o'clock, I get out of bed and then I'm like super groggy and then it just clears as if the fog is all of a sudden it's gone and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm feeling as if I just woke up in the morning. Let's go work. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
I work until midnight.
Yeah,
Oh
it is
boy.
also no telling when it hits. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to be careful because otherwise I overexert myself and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then and sometimes I think, oh, this is taking so little energy, I can do this, and then I just get knocked out. I was like, how? Why?
Hmm. I just
Yeah.
try to work around it, and it has helped me to be a bit more lenient with myself. So, as you
Hmm.
know, I'm always like super ambitious, and I make plans. Like if you look at my calendar, it's just full of
Yeah.
blocks. Like I have to have that done this today, and then tomorrow
Yeah.
morning I'm gonna do this and this and this and this, and um, I'm more and more like in the past that would be I would be always frustrated because I was running behind on the work, and now I'm thinking, you know what, that is a template, and if I can do it, that's great. At least it gives me every day I know what I want to do and what I need to do,
Yeah.
and it's calculated in such a way that it's feasible, provided of course that
You have the energy.
I have energy, and
Yeah.
oftentimes I don't. Or what also happens to me, I don't know if you have that too, I will have these days where it's just as if my brain is just constantly in it's like soup. It's like pea
Yeah.
soup. My brain is like
Yeah.
I'm like putting a spoon and it's like I can't get this thing to run. It's like my head is full of pea soup, and then I also know like
Yeah.
of course I would love to record a 1 hour analysis of the Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3, but my brain is just not working. So
Now,
I
yeah,
just whatever, I can't do it.
I had that with yesterday. With so the board asked me to come up with some numbers, and I was staring at the screen and just blanking out, and
Mhm.
just um, I, I know what I have to do. It's not that difficult, but just my head doesn't want to do it. It was like, come
Yeah,
on, it's not this hard.
I know.
And then I have found some numbers, and I wanted to write down what were the numbers again. Then I have to go back.
Well,
Yeah,
I now try to I make sure that I always have something that I can do that does not require much brain power. So
yeah,
the other day when I had an instance like that, I booted up the old PC and I did I re-archived all my podcasts. It's insane how much I had this one disk. I've got these external drives like these ones. I've got these. These are
yeah.
Western Digital drives.
WD
I got a
passport.
ton of
Yeah,
them. They're all mechanical. And
yeah,
so, of course, they're great. They're very cheap. They're more reliable for long term storage than SSDs. And it's
yeah,
easier that if they break, you can recover much easier. If an SSD, if it breaks, you lose everything. So I don't want to risk
yeah.
that. So I had this 1 terabyte drive that I bought maybe 6, 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and it contains all the podcasts. So that's the
Oh,
archive
the
of the
white one.
podcast. No, it's a little black one,
Oh,
and so I was putting the last batch of podcasts, like I don't know, the last few months on it, and then I'm near that, like I've got the standing desk, and then all of a sudden I hear it's like shoot, and then about 10 minutes later again, it's like it's buzzing, and then oh no, because that's
it's
the sound of
failing. It's
death. That
failing.
is, it's failing,
Yeah,
and so that put me in a frenzy. Like, okay, I need to make sure I bring everything to a new hard drive. So I plugged in a much newer Western Digital,
yeah,
and and while I was copying all the stuff, I also reorganized, or I kind of put everything in folders per year. That's the
Yeah.
method that I've been using for video very successfully,
Yeah.
but especially the audio that I recorded in the first 6, 7 years is it's such a mess. I mean, it's like I
I've been
couldn't
rearranging that on a
believe.
white one. So there's a little white one
No, that's
somewhere.
all wiped out. I've already I
Oh.
had already consolidated everything on OneDrive,
Yeah.
but the thing is, there were years when I was still at SQPN that I must have had about 15 or 20 different podcasts. It's not the episodes. It's just all the different shows that I was recording, like
Secrets of A, Secrets of B, Secrets of
secrets
C.
of crazy rabbits, secrets of
Squippin.
potatoes.
That's also my
It's
favorite Squippin podcast.
unbelievable, and it's like all over the place. None of it is relevant anymore. The only thing that is truly, I think, uh, important to safeguard are the audio documentaries,
Mhm.
because those are still very fun. So I found stuff from when I was in Ethiopia, and I didn't even remember recording anything there. Apparently, I did. So I'm
Yeah.
listening to that, and I'm like, that could have been recorded yesterday. It's
Yeah.
so incredibly, I don't know. There's such a presence of the stereos. I've always been recording in stereo,
Yeah.
and
I remember editing that also.
it did teach me a lesson, and that is, if you look at a longer stretch of time, there's not much of what I produce that is actually still, how do you say that, of value a few years later.
Evergreen.
Yeah, I've got maybe 4,000 podcasts that I
The
recorded.
the Greece
Like,
one is also okay. The Inside Greece one.
I don't know.
Also.
What I was going to say is that thousands and thousands of podcasts, like The Break, like The Daily Breakfast, like Geek Priest, and you name it, Catholic Weekend, blah blah blah. All that is like completely irrelevant. If you listen to that, it's like, oh my gosh,
So
that
long
is
ago.
the world is nobody in nothing that is talked about in this podcast is of any relevance. It's just chat, and so
Mhm.
it's at the time, it has a function, but it has no longevity. And
Yeah.
so, seeing how much I could have done with the time that I invested in all that fluff at the at the time, I thought it was important. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
if I would have invested that in making audio documentaries, it would have been so much more valuable.
Well, yeah, all those Catholic Weekend podcasts are community building for in a way.
Yeah.
And so you need to make a balance. So you need the community building one. So The Break, you need that. But if you do only community building, then it loses its relevance in the long term. You need to do both, but you need to balance it,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Well, and I
So,
I I just noticed that for many years the balance was completely gone, and I've wasted so much time. It's just, I don't know.
well, that's a negative way of looking at. You learned a lot about doing it. So
True, that's true. But I cannot help feeling a bit of regret when I see just a mess of stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, it should inform my choices now. So what am I working on? I'm doing The Break, which is really just for that week. And I never understand people that, well, I understand, and I'm flattered that the people have like a backlog of 40 episodes of The Break, and they don't want to listen to the latest one because they feel they need to catch up. But I would say seek help, because
you
that
don't need to.
that is a type of uh,
Completionism.
compulsive disorder that you don't need in your life. Really, you don't need to listen to that stuff. It is not meant to be. It's got an
Even we
expiration.
don't know what we talked about last week, right?
I should put an expiration date on those podcasts.
Mhm.
Um, and then now I'm recording almost on a daily basis now these short television reviews. And at the beginning, it was just like, I want to do something for the patrons. Let's do something simple. I'll just go for a small walk, and I'll just whatever comes in my mind. But now I'm thinking, you know what? I can actually keep that same easygoing format where I just go for a walk and I just talk about an episode. But let's do series. Let's build a collection. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm forcing myself to not overextend and watch like I was doing one episode of The Big Bang Theory, and I'm thinking, there's no way in the world that I'm going to do like an episode podcast about The Big Bang Theory because it's there's just not much in it.
No.
So that would be something I'd rather talk about in a break. But then, for instance, for the Rings of Power,
Oh yes.
I'm thinking, yeah, that is
Hmm.
worth investing in because the the trick is, of course, to find a way to do that is not too um,
Presumptuous, maybe.
no, not presumptions, that doesn't take too much. I don't want to fall in the trap of what we did with the Secrets Off shows,
Oh yeah.
where every time I wanted to record something, I had to spend 2 days researching.
Yeah.
And it was usually because I was talking about stuff that I had no clue about. Like we're doing, I don't know, Secrets of Star Trek. And it's like, I am a casual Star Trek fan. I'll
Yeah.
enjoy the occasional episode, but I have no idea what the name was of Khan's second aide in command who flew into the star, blah, blah, blah. And so, and that's the same question I ask myself for the Rings of Power. Um, I think if I do a show about that, it has to be about my expertise. My expertise is not Tolkien lore.
No.
Frankly, I don't even care that much about Tolkien lore because it's fun. I love it when other people explain things to me, but I forget it. It's like when Father Henry talks during vacation, explains something about a castle, and he's like, "Did you know that count blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And then that's the same with Tolkien. Is like 90% of the stuff that the hardcore Tolkien fans talk about is like, sure, whatever. I mean, fun, good for you. Good for Tolkien. He liked that stuff. I don't mind. What I like is the bigger themes. What is this? What is this story really about? What are the values here? What is the religious influence? What is the moral stuff that's going on? How is this reflecting other mythologies? That's the stuff that really grabs me. How is the character development, the choices that characters make? That is, if I do a show, and it's still an if for me, that's what I need to talk about. And I'm thinking the same about Star Wars. So I have my main YouTube channel always does well when I talk about Star Wars, but I just noticed that I don't want to talk about just Star Wars, the same topics
Star
that
Wars lore.
everyone else is covering because I
Yeah.
don't know enough about it. But I do know a lot about religious themes in Star Wars. That is
Yeah.
definitely my expertise, and that's if I do something, that's what I want to talk about. And the same thing with anime. So I've been kind of branching out, trying to try out different series, but I just keep coming back to Evangelion because that for me is like prime material to dissect and to explain the religious symbolism. If I
Yeah.
can find a series that also does that, sure, I'll watch it. But a lot of the anime that I've been trying to sample, I was like, what is this about? It's so horrible. I can't watch this. So I've already decided that I am not the kind of the typical anime fan. Or so I started this YouTube channel about anime. And I'm thinking, yeah, but no, I can never establish myself as an anime expert. I can establish myself as an expert in finding religious symbolism in certain animes, but in order to get street credit, I would have to watch anime every single day. I just
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that.
But you don't have to force yourself into someone you are not. So, I also people ask me about Star Wars. I was like, I'm like you with Star Trek. I'm a casual
Hmm.
uh, Star Wars viewer, if you
Sure.
can say it like that. I would like it, and some things I care, but yeah, it's just for me entertainment. I don't care about the lore or anything. Star Trek is not a story. I have watched everything religiously because it's kind of utopia, and it's something you want to hold on to in a bleak world. But yeah, but also that's also why I didn't really particularly like Discovery, because it was kind of not it basically says, well, this is dystopian. We are now in a dystopian universe. I was like, yeah, but that's not why I watch Star Trek.
Hmm.
So there are lots of stuff I will watch because of the entertainment value. But this Tolkien is about the only franchise I'm a lore nut for, because of the depth of the lore. But for others, and I'm not, I don't feel called to dive deep into Star Wars just because of my work or something else. I just point to that's the guy over there that knows everything. This yeah. uh,
Yeah, but it's funny just reviewing what I've done in the past. I'm thinking more and more uh, that I've been trying to be an expert at everything, and it's the people pleaser in me. I want to be there for everyone. Like Martinez brings up the walk, and of course, my listeners have noticed that approach to the walk has changed. You know, this is how I recorded the walk usually. I would, like, on the first Monday of the month, I would wake up at 6. I would have breakfast, get a shower, and then I would walk for the entire day, recording 5 episodes of the walk, an hour long per episode, and 5 episodes of the extra mile, about half an hour production time. Then I would go back home, super tired. My legs would hurt. I would be totally tired of myself because I like fed up of hearing myself talk. I wouldn't prepare anything, so I would just like talk, and I wouldn't even remember what I talked about because I didn't have one particular topic per episode. So when I get back home, I would just quickly type the show notes and do the editing, and that I would just publish that over the course of the rest of the month. And I again, it. I know that people like to kind of listen to that free flow of thoughts, but I felt that there is nothing in those episodes that will last if it's not focused, because I can't say, hey, just go back to like 3 months ago to that particular topic in that episode of the walk, because none of those walks, you have to listen to the entire episode to
yeah,
maybe find some ideas that
bits
may
and
apply to
pieces.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so for what it was, it just was basically free flow of my thoughts, and people like that. But it's nothing else than just chatting. It's what we are doing right now. I
yeah,
wouldn't think of turning this chat into a podcast because it's it's about so many different things. And
yeah,
I've noticed that building up catalogs, building up or creating value by thinking before I speak and making sure that I only talk about topics that I really am passionate about helps me to do a better job. And
yeah,
this is where the video editing or the video format of the walk has tremendously helped me, because that forced me to apply a plan and a structure that I know from television, and I think it has improved the flow of the show. As a result, the walk is shorter. It's it's
yeah,
it's still too long, I feel, but for especially for video, but it's what is it, 18, 19 minutes, and it used to be an hour. But I
yeah,
think I say more in those 19 minutes than I used to say in that 1 hour,
yeah,
because it's more focused, and and what I hope is that over time I will build up this catalog of topics where people will discover it, and
hmm,
mostly thanks to YouTube, because that's where the discovery happens. Facebook,
hmm,
or what is it, podcast itself, because it's audio and it's not there's no indexing of the topics. Ultimately, I'm stuck with the audience that it has, which is a great audience, but it's
yeah.
small, and I want to help more
Yeah,
people. So
we need to, we are underwater as an organization, so we need to think about our time, what we do it, because we need to be self-sufficient, and we are not at the moment.
yeah,
So, and there's also, there's unprecedented inflation, so we cannot possibly ask people to up their donation, because that would not be fair.
Yeah.
So we need to find more people who want to donate.
Yeah.
So we need to do the focused approach to bring in more people, so we can stay afloat for times
The
to come.
difficulty is, of course, you don't want to alienate your current audience. So I still want. That's why I put extra effort in making both a video version of the walk and an audio version, as it was enhanced a little bit because I put in a bit of music now. But I still really have to remind myself every week, this is also for audio. And I do that because I want to make sure that nobody feels like, oh, now all of a sudden they're doing something different. This is not what I signed up for. I took a big risk with the Patreon feed, the podcast feed, which was basically a mix of everything. It was like a, how do you call that soup? The bouillabaisse, or like a
Fish soup.
like a big fish soup with
Yeah.
and with lots of chunky stuff in it, but it was everything and nothing. And now I think by it now lacks a number of things, but we give that elsewhere. We do that here in the chat. You've got the free form stuff. We've got the break, which is very free form, full of stuff. But the Patreon feed is now really focused on what I think is one of my core competences. And that is analysis of pop culture. That has always been my thing. So analysis of pop culture. So I was working on. Sorry, Inge, I'm just like, my brain is suddenly waking
I'm used to that. I'm just putting on my interesting face. Oh, that's interesting.
Wait a minute, my camera is not working.
I'm now entering a tunnel.
Yes. So, Baruch wants to know if the extra mile is in audio format too. No, actually, I stopped doing the extra mile, and for a very specific reason. It didn't reach anyone. I could tell from the download numbers that only like a few, like I'm talking about like 20 people were checking it out. That's nothing. So a lot of patrons will not listen to those podcasts. They may have the podcast feed. They won't listen to those podcasts. Same for the videos. And so I was like, the extra mile is it's a couple of hours of work that I have to put in that. And it reaches 10 people. That's not a good stewardship of my time.
No.
Yeah. So that's why, I'm like, I tried it out. Didn't work. I'd rather invest that extra energy into making the walk better and to make sure that becomes, and I'm getting there. Like the last episode that I did, finally I'm getting to, when I was editing it, I was thinking, this is now 10% of what I want the walk to be, because it's more varied. It's got good structure. It's got locations. Yeah. Now I need to make sure that the image improves and that it's getting even more entertaining to watch. But anyway, what I was going to say was, like, this past week I've been working on the website. We closed down our Tridio website again. Mm-hmm. It was redundant.
Duplication of efforts, basically.
Yeah, and it was just a lot of money for nothing because nobody visits that website.
No.
So we took all that content from the Tridio website, put it on Father Roderick website, and then we also need to rebuild the website from scratch because it's right now it looks very simple, but it's still built on a lot of junk. There's this pile of junk underneath it on which we've created a tiny little house. So it's time to do a total rebuild. Yeah. But then I had to explain to the web builder what I wanted with the website. And so I looked at, templates. So how do I want the website? What is the function of the website? For me, the website is an entry point where I can say to the people on TikTok, hey, check out my website, fatherroderick.com. They go to the website. They see me. Hey, I'm Father Roderick. Do you want to hear more stuff about story secrets? Become a patron. And so that's the prime function. Then I still want to give people an idea of, so who's this Father Roderick? And I was thinking, I've always thought in terms of formats. So in the menu, you would have audio, and all the podcasts, video, all the channels, Newsletter, whatever, social media. And I'm thinking, on a website, if I look at modern websites, that's not the way to approach. You always have to think, what is the value for the person who is looking for something? So what does that person look for?
Yeah.
And it's like parish websites. A lot of parish websites, they start with like, here is our organization structure. These are all our groups of people, our volunteers.
Yeah, this
But
is the news of the parish, and I only want to see
hi,
when Mass is, and I
when is
cannot find that.
Christmas? When is Christmas?
Yeah.
How are you going to help me to? So I was looking at my own activities, and I'm thinking, yeah, in the menu I can keep podcasts and videos because that's obviously something that people will look for. But then on the main front page, I was thinking, how can I define what I do in like 3 areas? And I think I found it. I think like the first thing I do is story secrets. Is explaining pop culture. That's from the beginning of that's how we got in touch with each other, Inge. It was because of Battlestar Galactica. So
Yeah.
it's that's never going to go away. And I know that for my current audience that is important. So I do but that's only one thing. That's the entry point. The second thing that I do is I tell my stories. That's what I did with the Catholic Insider. What I do with my vlogs, what I do with my documentaries. Those are my stories. So I talk about other people's stories and I explain them. I tell my own stories. And then there is this third category, and that is, for me, it's the pastoral dimension. It's what I do currently do. It's like
So
talking,
their story.
connecting. Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying it's your story. How can I help you with your story? How can I be a guide on in your in your walk of life and walk
Yeah.
of faith potentially?
That's almost like a psychological approach. So as a psychologist, your job is as a coach or sometimes as a detective to help people find their story or the story they tell themselves about their life. So people tell themselves stories about who they are, how other people think about them, and so and that those stories are not always positive. So we help people to reframe their own stories. That's basically
Yeah.
what a psychologist does. Yeah.
Well,
There's also could also be pastoral, of course. Then, yeah,
well, it's similar. You're a guide. You want to help. It's not about me. It's about
yeah,
it's about you as a follower and this potential audience. I think for me it clicked. I was like, okay, and I'm a very visual thinker. I saw this template, 3 icons, 3 categories, and I'm thinking, oh, that's it. That's what I do, and everything I do actually falls in one of those categories. For instance, the walk and previously the extra mile, it's all in the vein of community building, helping people connect with one another, but also helping them in their walk of life. And so it means that when I come up with topics to talk about for the walk, I need to make sure that it's something that people can relate to. And for that, YouTube is a great tool. So I'm not just doing video because numbers or anything. No, it's because when I do video, I'm much more obliged to go search for topics that are actually finding an audience because that's how you get organic growth. And so I hope that will ultimately start to work. Right now, the YouTube channel is very small. It's like 600 people, but
yeah,
the engagement is growing. Every time I get a little bit more reactions, and the reactions are good. It's not just like, oh, good video. No, it's like, oh, that really touched me. I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I want to hear. And I'm confident that if I continue on these 3 levels, I will find my audience. And I was like stressing out, like, oh, I haven't posted a new Star Wars video for a month now, and I can see that in statistics because it's down the drain. Same thing with TikTok. I haven't posted a TikTok for a week now. I've only posted 3 videos in the past month. And so, yeah, I have about 1.5 million less views than last month. But
you're building blocks for the future with your website and everything.
yeah, and I know
Instead,
what I do now, and it's like the more I know what I want to do, it's much easier to say that I'm not going to do. So, with YouTube, like I was thinking, oh, maybe how am I going to produce a Star Wars video every day? Well, the answer is I'm not. That's not my expertise. But then in the past I was posting, for instance, I was doing also videos on TikTok and on YouTube where it would be about Harry Potter or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings on my Star Wars channel, and it didn't take off. And I was like, oh, I need to do like super like niche of a niche of a niche. Now I'm thinking, no, that's not the problem. The problem was that I was trying to be an expert in everything. And so what I did, other people did better. And it wasn't unique. It didn't have that. So what is my unique value? It's explaining. It's explaining pop culture. And if I make good videos, I'm certain that that is going to ultimately grow that channel. But if I keep doing like, oh, I want to do Star Wars, but I also want to do anime. I also want to do a math channel. I also want to do The Walk. And also, it's like I'm back where I was 10 years ago. And if I look at that hard drive, I can understand that it's failing. Because it's just, as if this hard drive is looking at all those different podcasts. And it's like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm quitting. So anyway, it's I feel like this has been the year of introspection and also like discovering what should remain and what will ultimately
Yeah.
have no lasting value.
Yeah, but what you were trying to do was you try to do everything, and
Hmm.
then but if you do fewer things, you can do the things you do better. And when
Yes.
you spread yourself about over too much toast, then it doesn't get better. It doesn't taste really
Yeah.
well. So, but if you use the amount of spread on the right amount of toast, then it's the good balance. You know,
Well, that's what
maybe
Peter
this is
says on
like, yeah.
Facebook. Peter says instead of doing like live stream every week, focus on the quality of the stream. And if the quality of the stream is good, then it will
Hmm. Yeah.
people will find it, and I believe that, and that's why
Yeah.
I think that documentary stuff should be part of what I invest in. Right now, I don't have a place to sell it. That's the problem, and it's very very labor intensive. But I know that if I can keep building on that, I create programs that you can still watch 10 years from now. Whereas a
Hmm.
lot of the stuff, even the TikTok stuff that I do, it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. And so the big the big challenge is going to be to make choices and to
Hmm.
make it in such a way that nobody gets upset. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, it's Friday, which
Yeah.
means another episode of the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Yes.
I by the way,
Still have
we're
first I have to do finish my work.
I know. Me too. Me too. Uh, I just watched a TikTok video before I started this live stream that has convinced me that you are wrong, Inge. But that explains why
You
your
are right.
theory is valid. No, no, no. But it explains it actually it takes your theory
Hmm.
and then says that is what they really work hard that you believe that. And there is a reason for that. So it's
Oh,
on purpose that they make you think what you told me. I will send you the link to the video. I was sold. I was watching that. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes total sense. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that
well,
show.
I did not say that it was 100% the case. So, but I was like, if it's one of the guys they are wanting me to believe it is, it has to be one of those.
Yep,
There's no other way it can
yep,
be otherwise true.
yep.
But um, it also is like it's a very problematic if they make that choice. So I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I will see where it goes, but it's more likely it's a totally new
But
character.
this TikToker actually has found something in what Tolkien wrote and where they have the rights to that actually where Tolkien is setting this up. What they're doing in the series.
Hmm.
I will show you the. We're talking in riddles now for our
Yeah,
audience,
but
but
otherwise
I'll,
we will spoil it for other people who
yeah,
haven't watched it
it
yet.
is
But
quite spectacular. This is absolutely the show I currently love the most. I was watching
yeah,
Love and Thunder yesterday. At least half of the movie. I've now watched half of the movie. I'm thinking, yeah, it's fun, but it's very superficial. And I visually, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it looks like a computer game. So that surprised me because I was like,
Is it Marvel?
it's Marvel, yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
and then that's one of the things. Like I never got into comics and Marvel and DC.
I did, but
Uh, yeah,
it's
it was
it's
like too
fun, but it's fun.
old-worldish for me, and DC is too dark for me.
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
is.
Yeah. Also, Superman is the DC, right?
Superman, Batman, The Flash,
Yeah.
that's
So
all DC.
I don't like those. It's too dark, too gloomy, too.
Yeah.
I want to escape the world, and I want to be cheered up, and it doesn't work if I watch
Yeah.
Batman or Superman.
Well, that's why I like high fantasy. It's
Yeah.
always there's a lot. Oh, and Sandman. Sandman is really good. I think you'll enjoy it. Because Sandman that looked very gloomy, and
Yeah,
then
I
it
didn't
it
watch it because it was yeah that because of that. But yeah.
no, but it's actually there is towards the end it kind of opens up in like high fantasy territory, and it's pretty cool. I have to say
Oh.
I was very impressed.
Yeah.
I never got into Neil Gaiman's other stuff, like what's that show with the devil and this angel that are um, that was also on, I think on Amazon. I think I don't know.
Wasn't that Lucifer? No.
Someone recommended this or demon and angels and demons, something like that.
That's
Anyway,
not a writer.
I couldn't get into it, but
Oh, Good
Sandman. Wow,
Omens.
I
Yeah.
was Good
But
Omens. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
isn't Good Omens from Terry Pratchett also?
I
Good
think they
Omens
work.
is a book by Terry Pratchett
I
also.
think they work together on it.
Oh, Terry Pratchett is deceased already, so that's hard.
Yeah, but Pratchett and Gaiman, I think Gaiman kind of took over, or they did some projects together.
Oh.
But Sandman is really good, and it's a. I was very impressed. And there are some interesting themes in that, but again, it's like, do I want to be Mr. Sandman, the expert? No,
No.
no. So I maybe I'll do one deep dive where I talk about the entire season, but I'm not going to do like an episode deep dive because I'm already running out of time now. With I wanted to do a deep dive of Obi-Wan because people were asking me, and now I regret it because man, I gotta work my way through 4 more episodes doing deep dives. But then Andor is already starting, and I want to do
Yeah. No
so
time for
much.
Lord of the Rings then.
Yeah,
But
unless I make it easier on myself and I just
yeah,
do
that's
like
recommended. Yeah.
the yesterday evening, very late at night, I'd watched the Star Wars documentary about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the making of, and I was just like oh, I need to talk about this, so I just went out in the rain and I recorded like 40 minutes of like me gushing over Star Wars. I'm thinking,
And
you know
that's what
what?
people want to see.
That's that's good enough. That's good enough. And then so I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just again making these impossible mountains to climb,
Yeah.
but nobody wants me to.
No.
It's just this I'm afraid of being an imposter, and I shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
but it's everybody at a certain point is. Yeah. So that's someone who told me when I went to university is the trouble of going to university is that you discover how little you know because you
Hmm.
do one I did psychology, but
Uh-huh.
there are lots 100 more than 100 other studies. Well, and so that's the topics I will never know anything about. So there's this tiny blurb of stuff I know a little bit about because
Yeah.
you have to specialize also in your psychology. So the most of psychology I know very little about. So if people ask me about clinical, so yeah, no, what
Hmm.
people think when people think psychologist, they think shrink, but that's
Hmm.
not my expertise. But when people ask me something about it, I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
and so yeah,
So when
and
people
it's a
ask
little
me
bit
faith stuff, it's like, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Well, Bible, I don't know what. I'd never read that book. No, I'm just kidding. But that's actually what the upside of that is. There is so much else to discover and to
Yeah,
explore, and
but I
that
don't
is the
have to know
process.
everything. That's also
Yeah,
what I took from it.
yeah.
Yes, there's so much science out there, but I don't have to know everything and have be a specialist in everything because there's not more. I have not enough time in my life to do that. Even if I
Exactly.
would do that for my own psychology. There's not enough time in my life to know everything about there is to know about psychology, let alone the other stuff. So and I think
And
that's
you
also
always know more than you think you do. It's like when you explain something, then other people who know nothing about psychology are like, oh my gosh, like, how do you know so much? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just comparing me with the wrong people, I guess.
yeah.
Anyway, we need to start wrapping up. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you all had a great time. And I hope that our explanations help a little bit. This is,
There's
of course,
reason to the madness.
Yes. And we want to keep communicating what we do to bring you along. And I know that some people will watch this later on. But and of course, we won't reach everyone. I still get messages from people like, where, what did you do? Like, where is Secrets of the Pirates of Caribbean? I used to listen to that, and now it says disappeared. It's like, yeah, we stopped doing that like 15 years ago. Did you get the memo? But we do what we can, and then obviously, some of our choices may be good, and other people may like, but that's what I wanted. Let us know. Tell us what you need, and then we can see if we can help you and how.
Yeah, that reminds me of a few weeks ago. I was on Discord, on my kids' Discord on Lordtrope, the Lord of the Rings Online. Is the game we used to record Secrets of Middle Earth in.
Yeah.
And I went offline. We did a group fighting a real bad guy, and someone was like, "I recognize your voice." I was like, "Oh dear."
Uh-oh.
I know. I heard you. You sound so familiar. I was like, do you do a podcast? I goes, yeah. You were in this, on the Secrets of Middle Earth. What happened to that show was like, yeah. We moved away from that organization like 10 years ago, or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was actually just 5 years ago, but it feels like an eternity.
Yeah. How can you do that again? I was like, no, we don't have the rights to do that anymore. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
But again, it's like I'm sure that if we would do something, we talked about this the other week. It was like maybe we should restart it because there's so much interest in Lord of the Rings, and I'm thinking, but that was also a ton of work that would require so much editing and finding the right way to do it technically.
Yeah,
it's
but if
very
you do
challenging.
a panel, that's a pain in the nowhere, because people will have cheap USB headsets, and sometimes people sound all garbled up, or I as a host do sound garbled up, and nobody tells me, and only when I edit I hear all the artifacts on my own voice, so I have to clean it all up the audio. You need to do it second by second cleanup, and that it takes 8 hours full work day to post one episode of that podcast. And that's not you cannot.
It's unsustainable. It's one of these things. It would be nice, but we can't do that right now. We just don't have the bandwidth for it. We have to make choices.
Yeah, but if you look at how many people listen to that, and it's a donation money you're using for that to pay me, there's a more efficient way to use me in the organization than to clean up audio only what 100 people listen to. You know that.
It's always and if you're one of those 100 people, then you're like, oh, but I like that. And I've had that many times, but you know what?
Yeah.
Something else will come along. There's And I have to keep telling that to myself. It's like the fact that you made this plan doesn't mean that you have to keep doing that until, you're in,
the end
in
of
heaven.
the times.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better to readjust quickly if you see that, well, this is not working, like the extra mile. I was like, I did that for a couple of months, and I'm thinking, I thought it was a great idea. It was also a gesture, like literally, I like the idea. I'm walking the extra mile for my patrons. But if nobody listens, it's not the best way to inform my followers. So I'll have to come up with something else.
Yeah, newsletter.
Or just this.
Yeah.
Chatting. All right. I'm going to wrap up.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and talk to you guys soon. Inge, have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.